First strike. The Helios Deep Space Observatory was humanity's furthest outpost from Earth, a gleaming beacon of scientific achievement floating in the darkness beyond Neptune's orbit. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at its primary observation deck, her dark eyes fixed on an anomalous reading that had appeared 48 hours ago. The holographic display showed something massive, far too massive to be natural, drifting through the Kuiper Belt. "Control, are you seeing these energy signatures?" Sarah's voice was steady despite her racing heart. The object was unlike anything humanity had encountered in its centuries of space exploration. "Confirmed, Doctor. Energy patterns suggest artificial construction. Size estimate: approximately 12 kilometers in length. The structure emerged from behind a distant planetoid, catching the dim sunlight like a pearl in the void. Its architecture defied human engineering principles, graceful spires and impossible curves that seemed to bend space itself." Sarah's breath caught in her throat. This wasn't just first contact. This was proof that humanity wasn't alone in the universe. Within hours, Earth's combined fleet assembled near the Helios station. 5 warships, the pride of the United Earth Defense Force, took up defensive positions. Captain Marcus Rodriguez of the UES Hyperion led the formation, though his orders were strictly diplomatic: observe and protect. The ancient station hung motionless in space, its surface marked with scars of battles fought millennia ago. Initial scans revealed it was powered down but intact, its systems dormant rather than dead. As humanity prepared its first expedition to the structure, fate intervened. They arrived without warning. A fleet of crystalline ships that twisted reality as they emerged from faster-than-light travel. The Orcs Dominion had arrived, and they were not pleased to find primitive humans near their claimed property. "This installation belongs to the Dominion by right of discovery." The alien commander's message boomed across all frequencies. Their ships, elegant and deadly, surrounded the human fleet in a perfect sphere of destruction. "Remove yourselves immediately, or face eradication." Captain Rodriguez stood on his bridge, his weathered face illuminated by tactical displays. "With respect, Ambassador, we discovered this station first. We're willing to share knowledge and primitives do not share with the Dominion. You have 1 planetary rotation to withdraw, or we will demonstrate why we rule 1,000 systems." As the communication ended, Sarah Chen's voice came through on a secure channel. "Captain, you need to see this. The station. It's responding to our presence. Deep within the ancient structure, systems that had slept for countless millennia began to stir. The humans had triggered something the Orcs could not: recognition protocols buried in the station's core processors. "These readings," Sarah continued, her voice trembling with excitement, "they match our quantum signatures perfectly. Captain, I don't think this is a coincidence. This station, it was waiting for us." Rodriguez studied the tactical display, watching the Orcs ships maintain their threatening formation. The Dominion clearly expected humanity to retreat, to bow before superior technology and numbers. They didn't understand human nature. "Dr. Chen, how quickly can you access the station's systems?" "We've already established a basic interface. The architecture is familiar, somehow, like it was designed for human interaction." Rodriguez smiled grimly. "Then let's show our friends from the Dominion why it's unwise to threaten Earth. Begin Protocol Prometheus." As Sarah's team worked to awaken the sleeping giant, the Orcs grew increasingly agitated. Their ships moved closer, weapons charged, expecting the humans to flee. Instead, they watched in mounting concern as the ancient station began to pulse with renewed energy. The structure's surface rippled like liquid metal, defensive systems engaging for the first time in thousands of years. The Orcs ships suddenly found their targeting systems scrambled, their advanced weapons unable to lock onto either the human fleet or the station. "Impossible." The Orcs commander's voice crackled with rage. "That technology is beyond your comprehension." "Perhaps," Rodriguez replied calmly. "You should have asked who we were before making assumptions about our capabilities." The station's spires began to glow with building power, recognizing humanity as its rightful inheritors. The Arxer had claimed 1,000 systems through force and fear, but they had never encountered anything like this, a species that could awaken the ancient guardians. As the first warning shots from the station lanced through space, striking with precision that made the Arxer shield seem primitive, humanity's position in the galaxy changed forever. They weren't just another species to be conquered or enslaved. They were the key to technologies the Dominion couldn't control, couldn't understand, and most importantly, couldn't steal. The battle that followed would be remembered as humanity's introduction to galactic society, not as supplicants or victims, but as equals who had earned their place among the stars. The Helios Deep Space Observatory had led humanity to its heritage, and the galaxy would never be the same. The ancient station had chosen its guardians well. Humanity's first step into the galactic community would not be one of submission, but of strength. The stars themselves seemed to hold their breath, waiting to see what these newcomers would do next. As Sarah Chen worked to unlock more of the station's secrets, she couldn't help but smile. Humanity had found its place in the cosmos, and the Arxer Dominion was about to learn a valuable lesson about underestimating primitive species. The real question wasn't whether humanity would survive this encounter. It was how the galaxy would adapt to humanity's arrival. Hidden Arsenal. Admiral Helena Blackwood gazed at her tactical display aboard the UES Basilisk, hidden in Saturn's rings along with Earth's real fleet. The 5 ships facing the Arxer were merely a diplomatic escort. The true might of humanity's space force had remained secret for precisely this kind of situation. All stealth systems nominal, Commander James Way reported from his station. The Arxer remain unaware of our presence. Quantum cloak is holding. Helena allowed herself a small smile. For decades, Earth had maintained a public facade of limited space capability, while secretly building something far more formidable. 20 warships waited in the rings, each carrying technology reverse-engineered from fragments of ancient ruins found on Mars and Europa. The station's power signature is increasing, reported Dr. Amara Okoro, their xenoarchaeologist. Those patterns, they're identical to the Mars artifacts. This confirms our theory. Whoever built that station also visited our solar system millennia ago. The Arxer ships had begun firing on the ancient station, their weapons splashing harmlessly against shields that seemed to bend reality itself. But the aliens had made a critical mistake. They'd positioned their fleet in a perfect sphere, leaving their rear completely exposed to an attack from behind. All ships, execute Jump Protocol Theta, Helena commanded. Let's show them humanity's real teeth. 20 ships materialized behind the Arxer fleet, their quantum drives perfectly synchronized. The advanced alien race had just enough time to register the new contacts before humanity's first volley struck. Plasma lances engineered from ancient designs carved through their crystalline hulls with surgical precision. Multiple direct hits, Way announced. Their shields were calibrated for the station's energy signature. They're completely vulnerable to our weapons. The Arxer fleet scattered, their perfect formation dissolving into chaos. Their commander's voice crackled across the comm, no longer arrogant but filled with confusion and rage. Impossible. Your species is barely space-capable. These technologies are beyond our comprehension. Helena interrupted. You should have done better research. Earth doesn't advertise its capabilities, but we've been preparing for this moment for generations. The battle unfolded like a deadly dance. The Arxer ships were individually more powerful, but humanity's fleet moved with perfect coordination. Each vessel seemed to anticipate its companion's actions, executing complex maneuvers that slowly but surely trapped the alien force in a web of crossfire. Admiral, Amara called out, excitement in her voice. The station. It's not just defending itself. It's adapting to fight alongside us. Look at the energy patterns. The ancient structure had indeed joined the battle in earnest, its weapons synchronized with the human fleet's attacks, herding Arxer ships into killing zones with barriers of pure energy. It was as if the station recognized humanity's tactics and was complementing them perfectly. "Send to all ships," Helena ordered. "Execute Formation Phoenix. Let's show them what happens when you corner humanity." The human fleet split into 3 groups, each executing a different attack pattern, while maintaining perfect electronic warfare coverage. The Orcs' advanced targeting systems, confused by overlapping jamming fields, couldn't lock onto any single vessel. "They're trying to retreat," Wei reported. "2 ships have already jumped out system." Helena nodded grimly. "Let them go. Sometimes the survivors make the best messengers." As the remaining Orcs ships frantically maneuvered for escape vectors, Helena opened a channel to all frequencies. "This is Admiral Blackwood of the United Earth Defense Force. Let me be clear. Humanity will not be bullied, conquered, or intimidated. We've spent centuries preparing for this moment, and we're more than ready to defend what's ours." The battle ended as quickly as it had begun. Of the 30 Orcs ships that had arrived to claim the station, only 7 managed to escape. The rest floated in pieces, their crystalline hulls shattered by weapons they'd assumed were beyond humanity's grasp. Captain Rodriguez's voice came through on a private channel. "Admiral, I think we've made quite an impression on our first day in galactic society." "Indeed we have, Captain." Helena watched as engineering teams began approaching the ancient station. "But this is just the beginning. The Orcs will be back, and they won't be alone. The galaxy's power structure just shifted, and not everyone will be happy about it." Dr. Chen's excited voice cut through the command channel. "Admiral, Captain, you need to see this. The station's central computer is fully online now, and it's showing us something. Star maps, technological databases, and coordinates for other installations like this one. This wasn't just a lucky find. It's a key to something much bigger." Helena studied the tactical display, watching as more data streamed in from the station. Humanity had just announced its presence to the galaxy in the most dramatic way possible. They had advanced technology, a powerful fleet, and now access to the legacy of an ancient civilization that had apparently chosen them as inheritors. The real question was, what would they do with it all? Turning point. Lieutenant Maya Patel stood before the holographic display in the ancient station's central command room, her mind racing as she studied the Orcs battle recordings. Something about their ship's movement patterns nagged at her tactical instincts. "Play it again," she commanded. "Focus on their shield harmonics during evasive maneuvers." The holograms sparkled to life, showing crystalline ships twisting through space. Maya had spent 3 weeks analyzing these recordings while the Orcs gathered reinforcements. As Earth's foremost expert in xenotechnology, she knew there was something they were all missing. "Lieutenant," the AI interface chimed, "I've completed the analysis you requested, correlating shield fluctuations with engine output." The display shifted, highlighting energy patterns in pulsing colors. Maya's eyes widened. There it is. Their greatest strength is actually their biggest weakness. Admiral Blackwood and Dr. Chen arrived as Maya was finalizing her report. The ancient station, which they'd named Nexus, had become humanity's forward operating base. "Tell me you found something useful," Helena said, studying Maya's excited expression. "Better than useful, Admiral. I found their fundamental flaw." Maya manipulated the hologram, zooming in on an Orcs ship's power signature. Their crystalline technology isn't just their hull design. It's the core of all their systems. They use crystalline matrices for everything from weapons to shields. Sarah Chen leaned forward, intrigued. And crystals have natural resonance frequencies. The Orcs have built their entire civilization on technology that's inherently vulnerable to harmonic disruption. Maya brought up another display showing Earth's weapon systems. "We don't need to overpower them. We just need to hit the right note." Before they could discuss further, alarms blared throughout the station. Multiple contacts dropping out of FTL, the tactical officer announced. "It's not just the Orcs this time." The main display showed over 100 ships emerging from hyperspace. Alongside the familiar crystalline vessels were ships of various designs. The Orcs had called in their vassals. "Incoming transmission," Commander Wei reported. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies." The hologram shifted to show not just the Orcs commander, but representatives from 3 other species. The message was clear. The Dominion had assembled a coalition to deal with the upstart humans. "This is your final warning," the Orcs commander declared. "Surrender the station and submit to Dominion authority, or we will reduce your entire system to atomic debris." Maya stepped forward. "Admiral, let me try something." At Helena's nod, she interfaced with Nexus's systems, accessing weapons control. The station's defensive arrays, they can be tuned to exactly the frequency we need. The enemy fleet spread out in an attack formation that would have been intimidating if Maya hadn't already spotted its fatal flaw. The crystalline ships took point, their vassals forming up behind them. "We're being hailed again," Wei reported. "It's not from the Orcs fleet. It's coming from one of their vassal ships." A new alien appeared on screen, humanoid but with iridescent scales and multiple eyes. "This is Sub-Commander Vex of the Meridian Cluster. Before you respond to the Dominion's ultimatum, we request a private channel." Helena raised an eyebrow, but nodded. The channel switched to encryption, and Vex's voice became urgent. "We've watched the recordings of your first battle. For centuries, we've served the Orcs because we believe them unbeatable, if what you demonstrated was real." "It was," Helena confirmed, "and we've discovered even more since then. Then we wish to recalibrate our allegiance. Many of us do. The Dominion's vassals are tired of servitude. If you can truly stand against them." Maya stepped forward again. "We can do better than that. We can break their power completely." She shared her findings about the crystalline technology's vulnerability. Vex's multiple eyes widened. "If this is true, how many others would support you?" Helena smiled. "Let's find out. Can you get your ships clear in the next 10 minutes? The next few moments were a blur of activity. As Helena coordinated with their new potential allies, Maya worked with Dr. Chen to tune Nexus's defensive arrays. The Orcs commander grew increasingly agitated as several vassal ships began reporting technical difficulties and dropping back from the formation. "This is your final chance to surrender," the Orcs commander announced, unaware that nearly a third of his fleet was about to switch sides. "Actually," Helena replied calmly, "it's yours." Maya activated the modified defense system. A wave of energy pulsed out from Nexus, precisely tuned to the resonance frequency of crystalline technology. The effect was instantaneous and devastating. The Orcs ships didn't explode. They shattered. Their mighty vessels broke apart into glittering clouds of crystal shards, their supposedly superior technology proving to be their undoing. In seconds, the pride of the Dominion's fleet was reduced to sparkling space debris. The remaining vassal ships, rather than fleeing, moved to support positions around Nexus. Vex's voice came through again, this time with unmistakable satisfaction. "The Meridian Cluster formally requests alliance with Earth. I suspect we won't be the only ones." Maya watched as more ships began broadcasting surrender and alliance requests. They had just broken the Dominion's power in a single stroke, not through overwhelming force, but through understanding and insight. "Send to all ships," Helena ordered. "The age of the Dominion is over. Welcome to the dawn of the Free Systems Alliance." As celebration erupted across the station, Maya turned back to her data displays. She had a feeling they'd only scratched the surface of what Nexus could teach them. The galaxy was changing, and humanity was leading that change not through conquest, but through innovation and cooperation. The real revolution was just beginning. The coalition forms. The Grand Chamber within Nexus Station hummed with activity as representatives from 17 different species gathered for the first assembly of the Free Systems Alliance. Dr. Sarah Chen watched from her position near the ancient station's central interface, still amazed by how quickly everything had changed. "The Orcs never allowed us to meet like this," Vex said, his iridescent scales shifting colors with excitement. They kept their vassals isolated, afraid we might unite against them. Admiral Blackwood stood at the chamber's center, her uniform pristine as she addressed the gathered delegates. The Dominion's remaining forces have retreated to their core systems, but they won't stay there long. We need to act decisively. The holographic display activated, showing a map of known space. Red markers indicated Dominion strongholds, while blue highlighted liberated systems. Maya Patel stepped forward, her tactical analysis ready. "The Orcs are adapting," she reported. "They're frantically trying to modify their crystalline technology, but that's given us another advantage. Their rush to change is causing cascading failures across their network." A delegate from the Corvin Assembly, beings of living metal and light, raised their voice. "We've monitored unusual energy signatures from their shipyards. They're attempting to reverse engineer some of our non-crystalline technology." "Let them try," Maya responded with confidence. "Each failed experiment weakens their position, but we need to strike before they find a viable alternative." The next few hours were intense as the coalition formed battle plans. Each species brought unique insights and capabilities to the table. The Meridian Cluster's stealth technology, the Corvin Assembly's energy weapons, the Naren Collective's faster-than-light innovations, combined with human tactical thinking and Nexus's ancient technology, they created something unprecedented. "We've identified 3 primary targets," Helena announced, highlighting positions on the map. "Their main shipyards at Centauri Prime, their command and control center in the Vega system, and their primary research facility at Proxima Beta. We hit all 3 simultaneously." The chamber erupted in discussion. Such coordination between different species had never been attempted. But enthusiasm quickly gave way to practical planning as Maya shared her latest discovery. "Nexus isn't just a station," she explained, bringing up new data streams. "It's part of a network. We've located 6 more installations, all dormant, all waiting for activation. Each one could serve as a staging point for our forces." Sarah took over the presentation, her expertise with the ancient systems proving crucial. The stations were built by a species we're calling the predecessors. They left this network as a legacy, but encoded it to activate only for species that achieved a specific level of technological and social development. And humanity was the key, Vex realized. That's why the Orcs couldn't claim these stations despite finding them first. They weren't worthy. The planning continued as the coalition grew stronger. Ships from different species began training together, learning to coordinate their unique capabilities. The ancient stations awakened one by one, creating a strategic network that would allow their forces to strike from multiple vectors. Commander Wei, monitoring communications, suddenly straightened. "Admiral, we're picking up a broadcast. The Dominion. They're executing civilian leaders in their controlled systems. They're trying to prevent more defections." The chamber fell silent. Helena's face hardened. "They're showing us exactly why they need to be stopped. Not just defeated, dismantled completely." "The combined fleet will be ready in 3 days," Maya reported. "The resonance weapons have been distributed to all capital ships, and the Corvin Assembly has upgraded our shields to handle any surprises." Sarah worked with the station's systems, preparing the network for its role in the coming battle. Nexus and its sister stations will provide real-time coordination and energy support. The predecessors built these installations to prevent exactly this kind of tyranny. As the meeting concluded, representatives from each species stepped forward to sign the Alliance Charter. It wasn't just a military agreement, it was a commitment to a new way of governing the galaxy. No more dominions, no more vassals, no more forced servitude. The Orcs believed that might made right. Helena addressed the chamber one final time. They thought that technological superiority gave them the authority to enslave others. "We're going to show them a different kind of strength, the power of species working together as equals." The coalition fleet began assembling around Nexus, ships of every size and design forming into coordinated battle groups. Each vessel was upgraded with resonance weapons, their crews training together in simulators designed by Maya's team. Sarah watched from her station as the fleet grew. Humanity had entered the galactic stage less than a month ago, and already they had helped forge an alliance that would reshape civilization among the stars. 3 days, Maya said quietly, joining her at the viewport. 3 days until we make history. We already have, Sarah replied, watching ships from former enemy species maneuvering in perfect harmony. Everything that happens next is just details. The coming battle would be remembered for generations, but the real victory had already been achieved. The galaxy had learned that true strength comes not from domination, but from cooperation. And humanity had led the way. Liberation. The combined fleet of the Free Systems Alliance dropped out of hyperspace in perfect synchronization, emerging simultaneously at 3 Dominion strongholds. Admiral Helena Blackwood stood on Nexus's command deck, coordinating the largest military operation in known galactic history. All battle groups reporting ready, Commander Wei announced, his hands dancing across the holographic controls. The Orcs have detected our presence. They're mobilizing their remaining forces. The tactical display showed thousands of ships engaging across 3 star systems. The Dominion had gathered everything they had left, a desperate last stand to maintain their crumbling empire. They've completely redesigned their fleet, Maya reported, studying the enemy signatures. Abandoned crystalline technology entirely. They've cobbled together hybrid systems from a dozen different sources. Sarah Chen's voice came through the comm from her position at the primary ancient interface. The station network is fully operational. All 6 installations are providing real-time strategic coordination. The battle began with a devastating display of unity. Corvin energy weapons synchronized with Meridian stealth strikes, while human tactical innovations guided the overall strategy. Ships that had been enemies weeks ago now moved as one unstoppable force. Dominion Command broadcast incoming, Wei reported. They're threatening to trigger supernovas in populated systems if we don't withdraw. Helena's expression hardened. Send to all ships. Execute Operation Sunbreaker. This was the moment they had prepared for. As the Dominion vessels moved to implement their threat, specially modified ships from the Neran Collective jumped into position around the targeted stars. Using technology derived from the ancient stations, they established containment fields that would prevent stellar manipulation. They're cut off from their doomsday option, Maya announced with satisfaction. And they just committed their reserves to a strategy that can't work. The battle transformed into a complex dance of technology and tactics. The Orcs fought with the desperation of those who had never imagined defeat, but they faced an enemy unlike any they had created through their centuries of conquest. Their command and control center is heavily shielded, Vex reported from his flagship. Our weapons can't penetrate their emergency barriers. They don't need to, Maya replied. She had anticipated this. All ships, initiate resonance cascade sequence. The Coalition fleet began emitting precisely tuned energy waves, not targeting the Orcs ships directly, but creating a complex interference pattern in space itself. The Dominion's hybrid technology, hastily assembled from incompatible systems, began to tear itself apart. By the stars, Vex whispered. Their entire defense grid is collapsing. Helena opened a channel to all frequencies. Attention Dominion forces. Your technology is failing. Your empire is finished. Surrender now, and the Alliance will ensure fair treatment for your people. The response came in the form of suicide charges. Orcs captains trying to ram their failing ships into Alliance vessels. But the Coalition was ready for this too. Tractor beams and containment fields caught the desperate attacks, while boarding parties launched to save Dominion crews from their own commander's final orders. Status report, Helena commanded. Centauri Prime shipyard secured, came the first response. Proxima Beta Research Facility has surrendered, followed another. Vega Command Center, contained. Admiral, we have total victory. The celebration that erupted across the Coalition fleet was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Species that had been bitter enemies under Dominion rule now cheered each other's success. The ancient stations pulsed with light, as if sharing in the triumph. Sarah's voice cut through the jubilation. "Admiral, you need to see this. The stations, they're revealing something new, some kind of final protocol." The holographic display shifted, showing a vast network of unexplored space, more ancient installations, dormant but waiting. New technologies, sealed away until the galaxy was ready for them. And something else, hints of threats that the predecessors had sealed away, dangers that would require a united galaxy to face. They knew, Sarah breathed. The predecessors knew we'd need to unite before we could face what's coming. The Orcs weren't the real test. They were just the catalyst to bring us together. Helena surveyed the command deck, watching representatives of 17 species working together in perfect harmony. "Then we'll face whatever's coming as one. Today proved what we can accomplish when we stand together." Maya joined her at the main viewport, watching as former Dominion ships were already being repurposed, their crews choosing to join the Alliance. "What do we do now?" "Now." Helena smiled. "Now we build something new. Something better than conquering empires and subjugated vassals. The predecessors left us tools, but it's up to us to decide how to use them." The Alliance fleet regrouped, their formation now including ships that had been enemies hours before. The ancient stations continued to pulse with energy, sharing more of their secrets with races that had finally proven themselves worthy of the legacy. "Send to all ships," Helena ordered. "The war is over. The real work begins now." As the message went out, she watched the tactical display transform from a battle map to a reconstruction plan. The galaxy was entering a new age, not one of dominion and submission, but of cooperation and discovery. Humanity had done more than win a war. They had changed the very nature of galactic civilization. And somewhere out in the unexplored darkness, greater challenges waited. But this time, they would face them together. The stars seemed brighter somehow, as if they too were celebrating the dawn of a new era. The age of empires was over. The age of alliance had begun.